Africa's insecurity is not a reflection of its people. It is the result of historical injustices, structural weaknesses, and unequal global relations. The future of African security depends on African-led solutions, inclusive governance, and sustained political will. Terrorism and ungoverned spaces. Terrorist and extremist groups in Africa operate primarily in regions where state presence is weak. These areas are characterized by limited infrastructure, poor service delivery, long-standing grievances. Extremist groups exploit local frustrations, using ideology as a justification rather than a cause. Military responses alone have proven insufficient. Without addressing governance failures and social exclusion, insecurity persists. Foreign intervention and geopolitical competition. Africa is increasingly affected by global geopolitical rivalries. Foreign powers engage through military interventions, arms transfers, political alliances. While often justified as security assistance, these interventions frequently prioritize strategic interests over local stability. In some cases, foreign involvement prolongs conflicts and strengthens authoritarian governance. Military coups and politicized security forces. Africa has experienced a high number of military coups since independence. This trend reflects weak civilian oversight, politicization of armed forces, poor conditions within the military. While coups are often justified as corrective measures, historical evidence shows that military rule rarely produces lasting security. Instead, it weakens institutions, disrupts governance, and increases long-term instability, poverty, youth unemployment, and social exclusion. Africa has the youngest population in the world, yet millions of young people face unemployment, limited access to education, and political marginalization. This creates fertile ground for recruitment by armed groups, militias, and criminal networks. In such contexts, violence becomes not only a political tool, but also an economic survival strategy. Sustainable security cannot exist without inclusive economic development. 9. Weak security institutions and human rights abuses. 2130-23. Professional security institutions are essential for public safety. However, many African security forces face insufficient training, lack of accountability, political interference. This has led to widespread human rights violations, eroding public trust and cooperation. Without legitimacy, security institutions cannot effectively protect the population. Toward sustainable and African-led security. Africa's security challenges are complex, but they are not insurmountable. Long-term stability requires accountable governance, strong institutions, youth empowerment, regional cooperation, reduced dependence on external actors. Security is not achieved through force alone. It is built through justice, opportunity, and inclusion. Diverse and sometimes rival communities were forced into single political units. Shared identities were divided across multiple states. Following independence, political competition often took ethnic or religious forms, intensifying tensions and fueling conflict. Many internal wars and separatist movements can be traced directly to these unresolved identity issues created during the colonial period. 3. Weak governance and political instability. 730. 1030. Effective security depends on legitimate and accountable governance. In many African countries, governance systems remain fragile. Political power is frequently centralized. Institutions are weak, and corruption undermines public trust. Elections are sometimes contested or manipulated. Opposition voices may be suppressed. Security forces are often used to protect regimes rather than citizens. When governments fail to deliver justice, inclusion, and basic services, instability becomes inevitable. Colonial legacy and violent state formation. Africa's modern security challenges are deeply rooted in its colonial past. Colonial administrations were not designed to build inclusive or stable states. Their primary objectives were control, resource extraction, and political domination. Traditional governance systems were dismantled. Colonial borders were enforced through military force. Institutions were structured to serve foreign interests rather than local populations. At independence, African states inherited weak institutions, militarized governance structures, and economies dependent on external markets. These structural weaknesses laid the foundation for long-term insecurity. 2. Artificial borders and identity-based conflict. The borders of modern African states were drawn without regard for ethnic, cultural, or historical realities. As a result, Why Africa suffers more in the security context. Africa occupies a central place in global discussions on security. Across the continent, recurring conflicts, terrorism, political instability, and armed violence continue to threaten peace and development. From the Sahel to the Horn of Africa, from Central Africa to parts of West Africa, security challenges persist despite decades of international attention and intervention. This reality raises a critical question. Why does Africa experience disproportionately high levels of insecurity compared to other regions of the world? The answer does not lie in culture or geography. It lies in history, governance, economic structures, and global power dynamics. This documentary examines the key factors that have shaped Africa's contemporary security landscape. All right, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and anyone who needs to see it. And most importantly, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching. Stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next video.